Garden. Before Canelo Alvarez knocked out Rocky Fielding in the third round, boxing fans at the boxing mecca got to hear it live. Let's get ready to rumble! And I got to spend some time with the man who coined the phrase, trademarked it, and is paid a lot of money to say it. Arguably the greatest sports arena announcer of our time, Michael Buffer.
Well, Michael, is it fair to say that you've built an entire career on one phrase?
That'd be fair, yeah, more or less.
Let's get ready to rumble!
What is it like announcing boxing at Madison Square Garden?
What I love about the Garden is, no matter how big the fighters are, there's that third star. The Garden is a star in the world of boxing. I mean, fighters dream of fighting here. The legendary fighters that have been here in the past, Sugar Ray Robinson, Emil Griffith, Rocky Marciano, you know, almost every big heavyweight that's ever fought, it's, you know, the Garden is where the big fight is.
Welcome to Madison Square Garden, New York City. This is the greatest venue in the world for sports and entertainment.
What would you say before this fight was the biggest fight that you've announced here at the Garden?
For me personally, I'm going to have to go back to Roberto Duran, Davey Moore, who was the champion. Duran coming back from another, you know, he's been down, now he's coming back. It was for the light middleweight title, June 1983, and it was my first time in Madison Square Garden. I was very nervous, but by the time we got to the main event, no nervousness, because I started to introduce all the fighters that were here and brought them up into the ring, and saved Muhammad Ali, who had, at that point had been retired, as the last introduction, and the place just blew up.
It was actually from Muhammad Ali that you got your ready to rumble, because he used to say, "Let's rumble," right?
Yeah, he had that famous, I'll do my Ali impersonation.
Okay.
I'm so pretty, I'm ready to rumble, rumble, young man. Well, so you had that whole thing from Muhammad Ali. And a lot of them were right here in the Garden with weigh-ins, and he would generate that excitement. And yeah, and I remember once, you know, running into him when he still was very verbal and everything, and he introduced me to his twin daughters, and he said, "This is the Rumble Man." So I was like, oh my gosh, Ali knows who I am.
So then when do you remember saying, "Let's get ready to rumble"? Do you remember the exact fight or event?
Yeah, it was like around 1983, somewhere in there. I had tried man your battle stations and or fasten your seatbelts. This is the main event. Nothing was happening.
So you were trying things out.
Yeah, and I started to say, "Let's get ready to rumble." Not the way you hear it today, but, you know, a little more low-key. And I just stayed with it, and it worked out pretty well.
For the heavyweight championship of the world.
How do you maintain your voice, though?
Just, you know, keep it healthy. You know, I had throat cancer.
I was going to ask you about that.
10 years ago, and everything's been fine ever since. And, you know, that's, again, a blessing. It's luck. So it's what I work with, and it stays in shape, that's all.
What was your reaction when you got that diagnosis, of course, knowing your career?
I actually put out a press release when I was about to go and have surgery, thinking that, you know, this is going to be it, because I knew, like, I was going to lose a large portion of my throat, all my lymph nodes, tonsils, everything. And there was no guarantee once they go in what they find. And so when I woke up in recovery, the first thing I did, when I realized who I was and where I was, I just woke up. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen." I thought, oh my God, my voice is still there.
It was there.
So I was back to work in 30 days.
Now, you're living in Southern California. How did you do with all of those wildfires?
The fire got as close as 50 yards to my house.
Wow.
Yeah. And we live in a canyon, like way outside. Not real, but just on the edge of Los Angeles.
Right.
And my wife was home. I was in London. And she just scooped up the animals, and we had a 4 or 5 day evacuation, and everything's fine.
You seem to just love every day, every job, every event that you call.
Yeah.
I mean, have you thought about retirement? My goodness.
You know, actually this year, I had planned on retiring at the end of the year.
2018.
And you know that line from Godfather 3, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Yes.
Well, Matchroom Boxing, the promoter in the UK, and DAZN got together and made me an offer I couldn't refuse.